Hey guys, so yeah, still using the damn thing for this review. I got a bit of a call to make after this week is over because it shouldn't. They said it was gonna take this long, but anyway. So yeah, we're talking Shaman King, episode 20, and right from the jump of the episode, we get Chocolave's backstory and how he was essentially a street thug before meeting the person who taught him about the nature of being a shaman. And first off, I like how. First off, one thing I really like is how this backstory shows that shamanism is kind of ultimately what pretty much saved Choco from what was a path of like looping self-destruction. He saw his family get killed by gang violence, ended up becoming part of a gang, but then it was only after his master got killed by his own gang that he was finally able to break free from all of it. And in all honesty, this is a prime example of how you do the trope of having a character with a no killing code. Like, honestly, pretty damn correctly, if not perfectly, for me. Like, for me, one of the key things that's kind of quintessential towards towards from just doing the no killing code trope well is you need to give us a reason why the character does not want to kill, because if you just say that they don't want to do it because it's how they are or what they believe in, then I'm sorry, it just comes across as idealistic and foolish. But Chaco, he obviously he's presented in the way where he believes in not killing, but this episode also gave us a very legitimate reason why is he was not only is that with he believes in no killing because he was not only shown a completely different path from the one he had known by the old man, but to this day, in a certain respect, he you could say he's still kind of carrying around the pain and the weight of the old man's death as a constant reminder of the person he once was and the person he doesn't want to be again. And in some and thankfully, I'm also glad how they pretty much showed us like how the old man's death also affected his pretty much former gang members and how they became like believers in the old man's ideology as well, because I think that also showed it even though it, even though they're secondary characters, they show that how that changes become a bit of an anchor to Chaco, and how it allows him just to remind himself of the man he wants to be and not the man he should be. In a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways, like the things the old man taught him about humor and laughter are not only they're not only a motivator to carry with him though and as that he carries with him and the desire to like carry out the old man's wish, but also again it's kind of his Chaco's like a lot of what Chaco believes it's his about humor. It's kind of his way of masking that pain, and yeah, I just love the backstory. I just love the backstory in itself. Like that to me is kind of an example of how you do that trope right to me. Like again, I'm sorry to anyone who disbelieves that, who wants to argue with me that maybe that Naruto did it better, that Naruto did this well or whatnot. But to me, that's kind they did do it well for the first. They all those did it well to a certain extent, but then they also kind of dropped the ball in others as well. But here it feels like the perfect roundabout of it all. Um, with that said, let's talk about Faust's reaction to this fight for a minute, because in some ways you could argue his anger is a little hypocritical considering what he's done in the past. But seeing him get as heated as he did, like towards Prince Peyote's whole idealism about how to treat the dead and whatnot, it just the fact that he got heated, it does show that for however unethical uh, Faust's methods were and are, he still, in some weird, twisted way, has principles. But it also shows a little bit of growth as well. That ever since his fight with Yo, he's realized that despite the nature of his powers, there is a line in the sand that even he's not willing to cross. And just like Chocolave, is making a concerted effort to atone for his sins and generally change. And that is what ultimately drew him. That is what I think ultimately drew like Faust in order to ask Yo if he could join him. he did want to be better, and he feels that maybe being around Yo is what can ground him in that. Um, Now, with that said, if I did genuinely have an issue with this episode, it's kind of one of those times where, again, where I like how this episode like took its time and allowed us to kind of soak in Choco's backstory, like all and the events surrounding it, and just how much. And even just in the individual like emotional scenes, I think this is like the first episode in a while that's really mastered the emotional aspect of the series. Like it gave every single, it feels like it gave every single moment its proper time to breathe, rather than pretty much rushing through that. So in that respect, I really love this. I really love this episode. But if I'm if I'm also being honest, if I'm forced to be critical about something, by the end of the episode itself, I was also left once again wondering if 52 episodes is going to be enough. I mean, we are only on episode 20, so there is still a lot of room to adapt all 300 chapters. But again, with that being said, we are nearing the half in terms of the amount of episodes we have left. We're nearing that halfway mark, and it is when we reach that point where we should start worrying a little more about how this series is going to be paced from here on, especially since this whole episode was really just covering the entire back half of the fight against Peyote, which again, I like how we did get an entire episode on Choco's back, like the did get an entire episode on focused on Choco's backstory and just focusing on him as a character. But at the same time, they are gonna. It's one of those things where they are gonna need to pick up the pace a little bit beyond this point, because if let me put it to you this way, if we don't reach at least 150 by pretty much chapter two, like but by episode 26, it's I think we might need to start worrying just a little bit, honestly. Again, I don't think it's not major or anything, but it is something where I'm like, okay, you're gonna need to kind of pick things up just a little bit here. Um, and yeah, obviously the other thing to talk about is Ren's little display at the end, because while having the Great Spirit as being the reason for Ren's power increase is a little convenient, it's also one of those things that's kind of setting the stage for himself, Yo, and the others to to pretty much show that they pretty much are ready, and they do have both the strength and the will that's necessary in order to endure the training that's ahead, and learning what power the tone of the shaman offers. Like it's kind of building up that they are in fact ready in order for the training of like learning the pretty much dark secrets that had made Hao such a powerful figure. But also on top of that, despite how goofy like Choco Love's whole stunt was, I do like how it did provide an actual opening for Ren to strike. Although to strike and finish Peyote off, like that's the one thing I kind of love. Is how like the Choco Love's humor actually did play a part in the whole fight itself. Now, although at the same time, I do feel bad for Ren at the end of the episode. The dynamic with his family has changed so much, to the point where he can't even afford a single moment to look cool anymore. Like when his father's in the crowd pulling embarrassing stunts like that, we saw like it's like yeah like he's basically turned he's basically embarrassed by his own family now. I kind of love it. But at this but even in those moments itself, it kind of shows like it's the moments like that weirdly are kind of an indicator of just how much Ren himself has changed, as well as how much like his family has changed because of him. Because when he challenged Yo, he said, "I'm gonna beat you." He didn't say, "I'm gonna kill you." "I'm gonna beat you." Like it's a simple word, but when used in certain contexts, it really shows the growth of a character. And in this case, his like Ren's growth is pretty powerful at this point. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dead Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.